Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Pino with the conference team for Satellite and GovMil Space. With me today is Executive Chairman Jeffrey Hill, who's going to review the newly released 2026 program. We're going to review what's new, what themes to expect, and how the program was carefully curated for executives, engineers, and government teams. So let's get into it.
Hi, Christina.
All right, good to see you.
By the way, we both worked on this program, right?
Yeah. So Jeff, why don't you tell us what's different about the 2026 program and why does it matter right now?
Okay, so it's fair to say these are uncertain times. And that's not a good or bad thing. It's just that there's less certainty out in the market than there was a year ago. And in more certain times, we would typically put together a program that was much more about market positioning, promotion, use the trade show to get the product out there, get the name. And we're still doing that, except in times of uncertainty, you have to balance that with more educational programming or technical programming, and really align speakers in a way that's giving people new information. And I actually find that to be more interesting. So I think a trade show can be really valuable in times of uncertainty. And the 2026 program we put together, I think, is the most educationally focused program we've ever put together. And in addition to giving those attendees, speakers, a chance to do business, we also want everybody to learn something from the conference program. So I would say the main difference is that you're going to see topics that are a lot more focused on particular issues or challenges or opportunities, and you're going to see less broad, horizontally aligned panels. Like, we're not just going to put all the ground systems CEOs on a panel to talk about which company is the better one. Instead, we're going to actually give each of those CEOs an opportunity to talk about a particular issue, a particular product, a particular opportunity, and we might even mix them with other people along the supply chain to address a particular business or technical challenge. And with that said, we've also revamped the finance forum and completely revamped our tech program. And I can talk a little bit about that more in detail as we talk.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of changes coming your way. So what would you say are some of the dominant themes shaping the conversation across the conference?
Well, I wouldn't say there was one dominant. There's a lot of top issues. And I took some notes here about what I noticed, some trends here. So I think the impact of the satellite industry's transition to a software-defined industry is still like the top. Especially now we're coming to a time of AI. Everyone's talking about AI, so you're going to see a lot of impact of AI on this particular application. Efficiency and supply chain issues around manufacturing, satellite building. I mean, we could base the entire show on this alone, but it's still going to be a forefront. It's going to be at the forefront of conversations with this space segment. Intelligent scaling of multi-orbit services and business models, now that we've seen significant M&A activity among operators, and we also will see some regionally focused discussions this year, particularly in Asia Pacific, India, as well as Africa. On the government side, resiliency, flexibility, as well as meeting the needs of the warfighter, the requirements of the mission, forming new business relationships with the administration and governments abroad. For the U.S. military specifically, you're going to hear important details about the evolution of the U.S. Space Force and the Space Development Agency and NASA in their interactions with private industry, as well as the Office of Space Commerce. And on the technical side, 5G standards, APIs, open APIs, direct-to-device, agentic AI, new propulsion systems. Those are like the themes you see across the program, as well as more focused topics like space situational awareness, space security, that sort of thing.
Well, that sounds like a packed program just in that conversation.
It is.
One of the great things is Satellite and GovMil Space welcomes so many individuals with different priorities when attending. So I know that was also taken into consideration when designing the structure of the program. Can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah.
We know, again, during uncertain times, that the most important resource for our attendees is time and money. We know that people in the satellite industry very carefully plan their their activities around SATShow week. And we know that travel is expensive, and we know that they're in meetings back to back to justify that expense to come to our trip. So what we did was we simplified the structure, the tracks, the program itself, so that everybody, if they take a day for the conference or they take a day for the exhibit hall floor, they'll have an opportunity to get a wide range of programming. And that when they do make that decision to say, hey, I'm going to sit in on some of these sessions, we're going to make it worth their while. We don't want people buried in their cell phones, just like following up from the meetings they were just in. We want them to learn something new, and we want them to learn something specific that they pass on that changes the way they do business, right? And for non-industry attendees, we want them to get excited about being at a space and satellite tech show. We don't want to like overwhelm them or scare them. Like, we want to show the technology and how it's progressed and how powerful satellite solutions, space-based solutions are these days. I don't think a lot of people understand just how powerful this technology is. So, we're keeping both types of attendees in mind when creating the schedule. We've also done things like we're giving them an entire morning to be on the show floor. Like, we're not doing any conference programming on Tuesday morning, and then we're consolidating the entire program on Thursday. Everything is going to be on the show floor. So if you don't get a chance to get to the show floor through Wednesday, Thursday, that's all there is to do. All the programming is on the floor, and those are just some of the things. And we also simplified the pass structure. Whereas if you get a conference pass, you can basically go to any sessions, and then you can get VIP sessions. We could talk about that.
I was going to say, you're jumping ahead to my next question here. So pretend I'm a first-time attendee. I'm looking at the different types of passes. I know I want to go to sessions. What would you say is the breakdown of the pass structure, starting with the exhibit hall pass? Right.
So the exhibit hall pass gets you access to the exhibit hall and the general sessions. We do have some programming in the exhibit hall, but that's going to be mostly like guides for people who are shopping for technology on the show floor. So the sessions you see in the exhibit hall are going to be about the products you see in the exhibit hall. Then we very much simplified conference access. If you want to go to conference sessions, if you want to go to the majority of the program, you get the GovMill Space Pass or the Satellite Conference Pass, and you can get access to both sessions. So you don't have to buy one track and then add on the other track. No, one track gets you back and forth. And then if you just want the tech seminar sessions, if you're there as an engineer, we're offering access to just the tech seminar at a reduced rate. So if you're an engineer and you're on a budget, like, you're going to get access to that whole program. And then if you want everything, including these VIP sessions, which I can talk to you a little bit about in detail, then there's the VIP pass. So really, there's exhibit hall, tech seminar, conference, all access.
Absolutely.
And there's no track siloing anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a really great addition.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked about the VIP passes. I feel like we're very in sync right now. You're kind of jumping into my next question, making my job really easy. One of the main benefits of obtaining a premium pass are these exclusive VIP sessions. So can you talk about those? Yeah.
So we have never had sessions that were behind a press restriction or Chatham House rules. And we feel that it is time that we do offer sessions for executives and for attendees that are restricted to press with Chatham House rules in place. This gives speakers more freedom to talk about concerns or issues. It also gives attendees more of an opportunity to feel like they can engage in debate with speakers without saying, having somebody in the room say, "Oh, I saw a person from this company say this." And we're going to create sessions with very exclusive information. A couple of examples, like, these are going to be topics that we typically wouldn't put on the conference program because we feel that speakers wouldn't be comfortable enough talking about these things. But, like, for example, on the GovMill space side, we'll have a VIP session that's called Accelerating Commercial Integration in National Security Space Architectures. And then on the satellite conference program side, we're going to put this year's CFO forum, so they can actually talk about finances without worrying about somebody taking numbers. And on the finance forum side, we're also going to be talking about creative exit strategies for investors. These are kind of things that we wouldn't put in an open forum. Like investors don't want to necessarily talk in public about their exit strategies, but we feel it's really important for the finance community, for the investment community to discuss as these companies scale. So we're creating these sessions as you can't get this information anywhere else. Like they're not talking about these kind of things at other conferences. I've checked, and we want to create some open and frank discussions, and really just have those people that go to those sessions lead with more information than everyone else.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Certainly did our homework in terms of the topics for that.
Yeah.
One of the other benefits I did want to touch on for the premium pass is you will get access to transcriptions of the sessions, not the ones that Jeff was just talking about, but all of the other conference level sessions, which is a huge benefit. So that way you can really be engaged in what's being said and not have to have your head down taking notes on your phone, or if you're old school like me and prefer pen and paper. So let's also talk about the value of the agenda for the C-suite leaders who only have a day or two to spend with us.
Right. Well, I mean, as I said, we've consolidated by topics. Like the finance forum is coming back on one day. It's opening day. We know a lot of investors can come for a day after the weekend. So we're bringing it back to Monday, consolidating all the finance forum programming, and that is being led by our partners on Startup Space, which is now celebrating its 10th anniversary. And this is like an investor-led program. And we're really, really proud of it. It's the strongest investment program I've seen in a long time. And you already see some bankers and have been confirmed for that. We're putting all our regional focused programming on one day. We also designed, as I said, the conference pass gets you back and forth between the GovMill space and the regular business conference sessions. So no matter what day you have free for conference sessions, you have access to a really strong GovMill Space program. So GovMill Space, every day of the program is structured like it's its own little conference. So, again, we know time and money is extremely valuable, and we've created a schedule that we feel allows you to do the business you need and then also spend very valuable carefully planned and scheduled time with the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to switch gears a little bit to the tech seminar. Mm-hmm. How does the tech seminar reflect what engineers are asking for?
Right. So I would say this was my big project of the satellite off season, because we do a lot of outreach to our community through surveys, and tech engineers want a program created by engineers for engineers. And I'm not a satellite engineer. We get, nearly 100 tech-focused submissions through the CFP, and I can go out to advisors and ask them questions about specific proposals, but I'm not an engineer, and I don't understand all of the engineering needs for our community. So what I did this year was, I do have experience putting together peer-evaluated programs in the academic world. So I said, let's try a peer-evaluated model for this. And we formed a tech seminar advisory program. We talked to them about what's the best structure for the event. Do we need panel sessions? Do we need to change this into presentations? And we did put together a group for our advisory board this year. Was Juan Deaton, who's a chief alignment officer at Alignment Consulting and Engineering, Karen Jones from Aerospace Corps, Dr. Rajiv Gopal from Hughes EchoStar, he's vice president of advanced systems, Stuart Daughtridge, who's the chair of DIFI, the Digital Intermediate Frequency Interoperability Consortium, and he's also vice president of advanced technology and creators. So once we had the CFP, we put out a separate call because we decided that tech engineers really want a seminar type program where we have 25-minute presentations based on research, not panel sessions, not let's debate the overall issue here. They want to see new research, and they want to see new discoveries, new breakthroughs in certain technological issues. So we received nearly 75 proposals for talks that were based on white papers that they could make available. And the board, reviewed those submissions based on the strength of the proposal and the importance of the technological issue at hand. as well as the inclusion of presentation materials that we could share with attendees. So tech seminar attendees will also get all of these papers that are being presented. And so we end up with really, really, really very in-depth tech program presentations, such as like laser precise navigation, integrating optical communications with PNT, the future of advanced propellantless propulsion, reshaping reflectors to enable resilient multi-orbit SATCOM, accelerating ecosystem innovation through open source network APIs. And these will be single speaker or sometimes one or two speakers who will be doing demonstrations, showing live visual data, and then giving all of the attendees access to a supporting white paper. So I'm really proud of this program. This was driven by feedback from our attendees, and I hope, look forward to getting feedback from this year, because we can keep making it better and making it more suitable for our tech audience.
Yes, well, I can personally say, having watched you go through this, it was certainly a labor of love with the advisory board and you. And I think what's so great about this program is it delivers interactive content while you're on site, and then information you can take home afterwards. And I think that just is a value on its own, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and congratulations ahead of time, but we're really excited to see what you all think in March.
And it was a really competitive evaluation process. Like they were all the proposals were really good, and in some cases, like we had to have a few meetings just to reevaluate and also evaluate the white paper that was attached to it. So this is the most vetted satellite program I've ever worked with.
Well, that's another thing that makes 2026 different than 2025
right.
and previous years. You just keep answering that question over and over again. We kind of talked about the GovMil space component. I mean, you listed a couple of topics, but if you had to just off the top of your head, what are some of the must-attend sessions for government and military professionals this year?
Well, I'm going to, again, I put together some notes because we have, you asked about must-attend sessions. I mean, we have a lot of buy-in already in partnership with U.S. government agencies. We've been developing program ideas with Space Force, Space Command, Office of Space Commerce. We have a session on day one that's being managed by our sister publication, Defense Daily, called Illuminating the U.S. Space Force. And that's going to be moderated by former Congressman Jim Bridenstine, who's also former NASA administrator. So that's on day one. We have a couple of sessions. One is called Integrated Sensors for National Missile Defense, and then one on the final day called Sustaining the Shield, How Servicing Supports Proliferated Defense Architecture. And this falls under the Golden Dome talk. There's a lot of that going on in the GovMil world right now. Fusing RF with imagery and SAR, our friends at SIA are managing, co-producing and managing that session with us. The Office of Space Commerce is hopefully and working to put out a tracks post-production release at Satellite, an overview and an update on that. And we also have a session of AI AI-enabled cyber defense for end-to-end space systems, and we should see some appearances by members of Congress this year. So.
Well, that's fantastic. And then, day 3 in the general session room is also going to have quite the government and military presence as well. So that'll be something to look forward to, but I'll have to stay tuned for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know people are wondering, like, will government participate? I know there's been like uncertainty around their participation, but we've been in contact with Space Force, Space Command constantly throughout the last few months. And, we have the paperwork in, and it's just, we have no doubts that we'll have participation this year.
All right, the big question, are you ready? Why does GovMil space matter more for 2026 than ever?
You asked that in the middle of a government shutdown.
Right.
I mean, just the shutdown and the environment itself, when there's uncertainty, it's more important now than ever to have interaction between government, military, and supporting industry. I mean, the commercial satellite and space industries are here to provide the warfighter, to provide the U.S. government, military, to provide the Pentagon with what they need to accomplish a mission. We are very much like supplying them with the tools they need to succeed in their mission. And with everything happening in the world today, geopolitically, with everything happening and even politically, like we have government agencies that are in even more need of commercial partnership. And so every year it gets more and more important. And I'm really encouraged by the dialogue I'm hearing from Space Force, Space Command, U.S. Army, where they're talking about like, we plan to expand our partnership with industry, and we really need to reach people. So even from their side, they understand it's important, and they'll be out in force this year.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that was a great response to that big question. Let's change topics here to our exhibit hall.
Right.
We know that there's content in the exhibit hall. You talked about that a little bit earlier. What kind of content and programming can people expect to see on the exhibit hall show floor this year, and how it relates to the companies and representation that is on the show floor?
Okay. So first, the exhibit hall program opens with our CTO forum. So we usually invite CTOs from some of our largest exhibitors to come and talk about like what is driving the products, what is the strategy behind the products that are being featured on the show floor. So right away we open with that, which is kind of like it's a great starting point for everybody. Then we are also celebrating our 10th anniversary Startup Space. That's the big entrepreneur pitch contest. If you like Shark Tank, you'll love Startup Space. We have 10 new competitors, which we'll be announcing soon. And then we have sessions, again, that are about the products that they're going to see on the floor. So you'll have guides to ground systems. You'll have guides to satellite manufacturing. We're going to be posting details of those programs soon. But and then on Thursday, on the last day, we have one theater, which is going to be dedicated to government military applications discussions, and the other program dedicated to commercial space. So yeah, these are like helpful guides if you want to pull yourself away from browsing the actual exhibits and you just want to take some notes on industry issues. The exhibit hall program is where you would go for that.
Yeah.
We're also going to have like happy hours, other events. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, we do have a lot to celebrate with Startup Space's 10th anniversary, SATShow's 45th anniversary, and Via Satellite's 40th anniversary. Wow.
Yeah,
what a celebration this is going. Yeah, a lot of birthdays. Okay, well, thank you, Jeff, and to everyone watching. If you have not registered yet, there is definitely time. Our launch rate goes through December. This is going to be the lowest price that you will see. And if you have registered, starting in November, our mobile app, Your Event Hub, is going to open. And at that time, you'll be able to message attendees, start building your schedule, and schedule meetings. So to lock in your pass and for more information, visit satshow.com. We look forward to seeing you in March.
Thank you so much, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.